It's another edition of PENSDOWN, the program that gets journalists on the spot to talk to us about their journalism journey. On this platform, the journalists are not the reporters, they are the newsmakers. We get them to tell us all that they go through in their bid to bring us all the news, sports, politics, whatever, entertainment, religion, what have you. With me today is a broadcast journalist with almost a decade of professional experience. She started her career at the then Vibe FM in Accra as an intern while pursuing her degree program at the Ghana Institute of Journalism. She has worked with some of the biggest news establishments in Ghana, including the EIB Network, City FM, and City TV. She currently works with the Accra-based Asase Radio as Deputy News Editor and Head of Business Desk. She has had training opportunities with Reuters, Bloomberg, IMF, and Voice of America. She is married and the union is blessed with 3 children. Nana Oye Ankrah is my guest today. Welcome, Nana.
Thank you very much for having me.
Right. At what point, while growing up, did you realize that journalism is what you wanted to do?
Okay, so I think I developed the love for journalism when I started my senior high education or senior high school in Winneba Secondary School. I chose general art when we were asked to select our courses. So I chose general art and I got it at the Winneba Secondary School. I don't know whether then television, we had television. We had a television, but I mean, you wouldn't really think you want to be on TV. All I knew was that I was a talkative. And so anything that had to do with talking and English, I was all for it. It was at Winneba Secondary School that I actually got to know about journalism. And that was when I decided that I wanted to be a journalist. So I would say that it started way back in Winneba Secondary School, that is in the early 2000s.
Okay. So during that period, was there any presenters? I'm using presenters because then it was the GTVs, GBC radios, they were much more prominent. Were there any presenters, TV or radio, whom you looked up to or who inspired you in, making this decision that today has become a professional, course that you are chartered?
In Winneba Secondary School, I wasn't really following journalists. I started following journalists when I completed and I moved to the Ghana Institute of Journalism. That was when I decided to follow radio and TV because, in essence, you are not even allowed to listen to radio. So you wouldn't really know the people then. And so when you come out of senior high school that you get to listen to radio more, you get to watch television and all that. And I must say that Gifty Auntie was like an icon to me. I really loved her. I really, really loved her. I also liked Kate Addo. Yes, Kate Addo, when she sometimes hosts the morning show. I think at that time they were all doing the morning shows in turns or so. So it was Kate Addo, Akushika, and then Gifty Auntie then. And then we had, when I got to level 300 and there was Vibe FM. I think Vibe FM was there, but I had not followed Vibe FM. I was listening to Radio Good at a point, but then I don't recall the only person I remember on Radio Go then was the man who was doing the Sunday, because my uncle will listen to it's not Chami, no, not Chami, Odifo.
Okay.
Odifo would do, yes. And I loved it so much. And I was like, oh, this is cool. I mean, this is somebody on radio. I would love to do this. I didn't really look at news then.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't look at news, but I thought, okay, being on radio would be great. So I will listen to Ochami, thanks to my uncle who will listen to Ochami himself. And then when I started my internship at Vibe FM, that was when I started following news. I started following presenters. I started following, as in the whole media, and decided that, okay, I want to major in journalism, because then when you were doing your degree at JIJ, you had to choose between journalism and PR. Yes, so I decided that I was going to major in journalism, and I started following the media landscape. And so Gifty Auntie was there. I loved her. Another person that I spotted at that time when I was in GIJ and I was keen about journalism was Doreen Ando.
Okay.
Doreen was like a mini god to me. I loved her so much. And so she was also the person that I was looking up to up until Matoda Sante days.
Okay.
Yes. That was when I had gone to Vibe FM, and I was taken through some news. Training for news, thanks to this man. Okay, I remember the name. So Uncle Jojo, we used to call him Uncle Jojo. Yes. So he started taking me through news. And told me that you can't just be on radio. You have to know what you want to do on radio. Radio is not like Makola. You just go and start there. You have seen everything. Everything is everywhere. No, you have to love one thing about radio and pursue it. And so when he started training me to go through news, in fact, at that time, I thought I won't be able to do it, because he will let me read the Bible.
Okay.
Yes, he will let me read the Bible. So he'll say, read the Psalms. And it's not like read and take what the Psalm is saying, Read so you can read better.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So it's not the religious aspect of it, or the biblical or spiritual aspect of it. No. It was like, read it. If you're able to read the Psalms very well, you'll be able to read news very well. That was what he told me. And because it's a long script.
Okay.
So the moment you learn, or when you learn to read a long script without making so many mistakes, you can do news easily. So that was it. So those are the people, the presenters that I clearly remember I was looking up to growing up.
Wow. And did you at any point harbor the intention or begin to nurse the desire to work in any of the media houses where any of those that you followed were?
No, I even though GBC or GTV, GBC had produced a lot of the people that I was looking up to. That is the names that I gave earlier. I never thought I never wanted to work with GBC because I had tasted Vibe FM then. Okay. And I thought Vibe FM was more fun. I mean, was more, I think it was the fun aspect, because then we were not even working for money. We were working for the fun of it, because we wanted to do radio. We wanted our family members to hear us, Okay. When I wake up and I tell my mom, oh, today I have an internship, I'm going for my internship at Vibe FM. She got excited because she thought her daughter was doing radio. And the first day I read I read something on radio, my goodness, my entire family got to know about it. Yeah, so I didn't think of going to GBC. I never thought I wanted to do GBC at that time. Yeah, it was Vibe FM, and I was aspiring to do Joy FM then.
Okay, right. So all your professional life has been with broadcasts, am I right? Was there at any point you wanted to taste how print journalism is?
I never wanted to do print because I thought it was too much of a work. Like, you have to write so much. Yes, so I never wanted to do print, but I did print. I did print not too long ago. When I moved from EIB in Kumasi. In fact, I was one of the few people who started EIB. When EIB started, we started in Kumasi. My boss was Kofi Owusu, formerly of Joy FM. Yes. So we started, he called me, and then we started EIB Ultimate Radio, now Ultimate FM in Kumasi. Yeah. So that was when I started EIB. But when I moved from Kumasi back to Accra, I had my first baby. And so I couldn't do anything that will keep me away from home for a very long time. Okay. Or throughout the whole day. So I wanted to do something very not so demanding. Okay. And I spoke to my friend, a friend of mine, and she said, okay, they were starting a newspaper, a business newspaper then. She knows the people and they had asked her to recommend a few people. Why don't I give it a shot? So I started Go Street Business. Okay. Yes, we started Go Street Business. It appears I am good at starting stuff with people. Yeah. So they called me and they said, yeah, we are starting a business newspaper. And so if you can join. In fact, I went for the interview and I was given the interview and I was given the job, and we started Go Street Business. Print. It was my first taste of print. But I loved it. I have actually developed some mad love for print. I didn't think I could do it, but after doing it for 2 years, I love print.
Wow. So was that the first and the last print opportunity you had?
Yes. Yes, that's the first and the last. Yes.
I see. That means right after print, you bounce back to your electronic media where your first love was.
Yes. Yes. Good.
Now you have worked with a number of media houses, notable ones in Ghana. You've done journalism for almost a decade now. And if I look at the number of media houses, these are dream media houses for some people. Why do you keep moving? You are a hot cake. You are always a target for transfers, or what exactly is there?
Transfer opening, I wish. Okay. Well, this question, I think it should be posed to all the journalists in Ghana. We seem not to have an answer, but I don't know. We keep moving. Yes. Okay, so I have a peculiar, for me, I have reasons for moving. Okay. For instance, when I did Go Street, when I came back to Accra, I did it for 2 years. But I think I missed radio.
Okay.
I missed radio. Number one, I wasn't fulfilled financially then with that particular brand. Yes. And I missed radio. I missed radio because if you're somebody who reads on radio, and I mean, you love to edit radio script here and there, you would, when you do print for a long time, you feel like it's a lot. It's a lot. So and you want to do the big interviews, you want to go out there, you want to, I remember at Go Street, I used to get some compliments. I used to get people telling me, oh, you sound very good on radio. Why don't you go to radio? They didn't know that I had done radio. But so they would just say, oh, you should do radio. Oh, you sound very well. You sound, your voice is. So I got all of that, and I was like, okay. Unfortunately, in Ghana, you cannot do print and radio. I mean, employers will not understand. For you to even do for two different media houses and all that. We don't have that system here. And so why don't I just look at, and then my boy too had grown a little. So he was a bit older, and I could leave him for longer hours. And so I decided that I was ready to go back to radio. And that was when I joined City FM, City TV through Bernard Apple.
Okay. Let's go back to your time at Ghana Institute of Journalism. Which years was that? You did degree, that's 4 years. Which years were those?
That was in 2001 to 2005.
How was the learning experience on GIJ campus? I know you learned at that small campus close to Parliament House. Yes. How was the experience?
It was like a home. It was like a normal compound house where everybody knows everybody.
Exactly, you're right.
Yeah, it was like a compound house, you know, but it was great. I think our batch was the fourth batch. So we met the first set in their final year. I
you mean for the degree?
For the degree, yes. The first set was they were in their final year. That was, I think, DJ Black, and if I remember, I think Brigitte too. Yeah, those people, Evans Mensah and the likes. Yeah, they were in their final year, and we joined. It was great. I mean, it was great, the lectures, but because we had just started, I mean, there were so many hitches. Yeah, there were so many hitches. I mean, we didn't do much practicals. That has always been my worry. I don't know if it has changed now, but we didn't do a lot of practicals. It was theory. I think it was during our final year or so that we tried a radio, campus radio. And yes, but those who really wanted to do the journalism and understood, a lot of people actually had done internship before joining, before coming to do the degree, because perhaps they had done the diploma and they wanted to get the degree. So those people understood the job very well. They needed just the theory to back the practicals that they had. But I mean, those of us who moved straight from senior high school and joined, it was a bit like, okay, let me just pass and go. let me just write, pass and go. Let me just learn, pass and go. Although the knowledge was impacted though. I mean, you wouldn't have just know what news is. You needed to be able to define what news is. Yeah, if you had not gone to GIJ, you wouldn't even think that, let me look up the meaning of news. I mean, all those things. So the knowledge, yes, it was impacted, but I think the practical aspect is what we lacked a little. But GIJ was amazing, was great.
A good number of journalists I have spoken to since I started these conversations tell me journalism doesn't pay. Are you one of them?
Journalism, journalism is for God and country. It is for God and country. Of course, it doesn't pay. Journalism doesn't pay because sometimes you just sit down or sit back and then you look at perhaps your friends who decided to do business administration and are now in the banks, for instance, or your friends who decided that they were going to do other things, even your friends who decided to join the military. Yes, you sit back and look at all those people and you feel like, oh, they are way ahead. They are way ahead. When I completed GIJ, I moved to the Western region and yes, with a friend. I got a job with then Unibank to do sales. I did the sales for a while and I was like, Charlie, I'm not happy. I want to do journalism because I had already tasted vibe. So when I got to Takrade, I decided to join a radio station. So I left the banking job and I went to join the radio station. And I must tell you, you know, at a point in time in my life, I sat back and I cried and I was like, why did I even leave Unibank? Why did I leave? Because the people that I was doing the sales with at that time have moved on. Like I said, they were doing okay. They had been given their home loans and all those, so they're okay, and they have risen through the ranks to be DROs and all the, you know, and so I was like, oh gosh, why did I even do that? But I must tell you that journalism opens doors. It will not pay as much as the other sectors will pay. But it opens doors. I mean, where I, as a journalist, can enter, perhaps a doctor cannot enter.
That's right.
A lawyer may not be able to enter. A banker cannot enter. If you go to a hospital and you mention that you are a journalist, 100% chances are that you'll be attended to. Doctors and nurses will do all that they can to help you. And if you are not a journalist and you went, the story, I'm sure, wouldn't be as much as or as beautiful as a journalist going there. So that is it. It will not pay, and in life will not get everything. So hey, it doesn't really pay, in quotes. I'm not saying pay, but in quotes, because some of the media houses are also doing very well these days. I mean, some are doing very well. Some people are being paid really well. Yeah.
You know, journalism, one of the principles is that you, the journalist, you are an observer, not a participant in the news gathering, processing, and reporting enterprise. Is there that particular story you have done where you got so involved? I mean, you, at the end of the day, you realize that your emotions had been bathed in the story. You have so immersed yourself in it that your emotions, your personality, and everything, you could relate critically and plainly with a story. Was there any such experience?
Oh, yes. I think I have a few experiences, but there's this experience that changed it actually changed my life. It changed a lot of things about me. So when I was at Ultimate FM then.
In Kumasi.
In Kumasi, and I did the story. I did the story on children living with HIV.
Okay.
Yeah. And after talking to some of the children, I got so involved. I felt I needed to help these children. So I ended up, setting up an NGO. But before we setting up the NGO, I would go to, they used to meet at Confanoche, the Confanoche Teaching Hospital. Yeah. So they have particular days they met. I would go for their meeting. I would be, I'll be visiting them. I think I was visiting some of them in their villages because a lot of them had lost their parents. And so they were living with their grandparents. And most of them had their grandparents in the rural communities around the capital, which is Kumasi. So you have to move away from Kumasi and enter some of the rural communities in order to visit these children. And I was doing it. I was also trying to get people to support the children. And I was more, I don't know, but I got so involved, that when I was no more with Ultimate, I was running that NGO where I would, together with a few people who were ready to help, we would go and raise some funds and then support these children. So it was one of the stories that I felt this is a life-changing story because it can happen to everybody. Plus, these are children that we do not even hear about. People don't know them. And also, you want to protect these children at the same time. These are children living with HIV. So you have to be strategic so you do not expose them. But at the same time, you help them. So, I traveled to places that I had never thought I could go. Some of the places when you get to a junction, you have to walk a certain village because you cannot drive there. Yeah. And at that point, I didn't have money. I wasn't paid. You should hear my salary. It was so small. I was in Kumasi and I was renting and I was spending for myself and I had to support the children as well. So that is one story that I was so involved. Another one was when I remember when a teacher fell in a toilet in a school. A senior high school. I always Google up that story. It's on the internet. I Google it and I laugh about it. So this is a story that I broke in Kumasi and it became topical. It became topical because the teacher fell and he was not compensated. It was a lot. The school had to close down for some time. I got the education service calling me for interviews. If you're a journalist and the people call you and they're like, we want to talk to you. We need to explain things to you. You feel like, okay, I have arrived. I have arrived. So they were calling me. I remember very well that even at that time, Joy FM was Araba Kumsen. Okay. Was reading 6 a.m. and they called me. I was like, hey, they have called me or they want to interview me about that teacher. So that story was everything. But so this was a few of the stories. I remember I did a story about prostitutes. There's this area in Kumasi around the Dome where prostitutes, it's only prostitutes who live there. Yeah. And they live in cubicles. So, but when you enter that particular corner, the prostitutes will be sitting in front of their buildings. As in their cubicles. You feel like, is this Ghana? So I went there and I had to, I was scared. You have to watch what you say. You have to watch what you do, how you walk. Because the women are sitting there, but they have men who are in hiding to protect these women. It was scary. Like, it wasn't that easy. And they had this condom vending machine. I have never seen anything like that in my life, where you slot in money. It's like you went to a supermarket and you wanted a drink, you slot in a coin, and the condom will just come down like a drink. Then you
really?
Yes.
Really?
Yes. I remember my boss dashed me money. Kofi also dashed me money for doing that story, because I ended my stand-up with by slotting in a coin, and the condom came. And I was like, I just got my condom. I know. So these are some of the stories that I did. And but also another turning point was at CTFM, for instance, where I was pregnant and I had to do stories, and I was doing, and we had started TV at that time. And we needed if you know Samens, you know how Samens likes his things. You need to do it and do it well. So with my pregnancy, you will see me doing piece to camera,
wow.
in Cantamanto. In Cantamanto. Wow. And you will see me trying to pull some animals, because I was doing a story on livestock. Akalajo. So you see me trying to pull an animal, and the animal will not come, and you have to do all that for the camera. So it's been a great journey. I have so many stories that I really, really, really got involved in. And I might say that one of the stories that I did, I even filed for the CNN Africa journalist. I think I proceeded to a certain level. I was dropped when I was dropped when it got to the finalists, and that was when I got disappointed. I cried because I had fasted about that thing.
As if your whole life depended on it.
I know. I had fasted. I fasted. I fasted. And so when they send a message, now I'm like, God, thank you. When they send a message, so you've progressed, I said, God, thank you. We got to the finals, and then they were like, oh, okay, so thank you so much. You did well. Unfortunately, the other stories, I said, oh, okay. Anyways.
Let's go back to Kumasi, your time in Kumasi. Kumasi has two biases. There is the NPP bias and there is the Kotoko bias. What category of stories were you doing in Kumasi? Was it political or they were social, basically?
I was doing social stories.
Social
stories, yes.
Then I'm not sure you would come into conflict with their interest too much, because once you were not touching their politicians, the favorite ones, or maybe calling to question the competence of Kotoko or the plain body or whatever, you were safe.
Anyways, my interest has always been social and business.
Okay.
And so I wasn't doing political stories, unless it's a running story. And of course, as a journalist, you should be abreast and also be able to even deliver a political story as intense as you have to deliver a business story or a social story. So I wasn't hosting the political talk shows, or I wasn't, I was doing more of social and business stories. Yeah.
Is there any story you have done?
But I'm a fan of Kotokodo, I must say.
Is there any story you have done that put your life in danger? I mean, you got threatened, or some people started insulting, or any kind of abuses? Is there any story at all you have done?
Oh, okay. So, well, I haven't done a story that had to be aired before the people threatened. Okay. Most of the time, I got threatened on the field.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So the people that you were trying to interview will just try to attack you. Why are you here? Go away. You know, that kind of thing. You people, you are like them, or you're one of them. You people, you don't do it. So those are the threats that I usually got. I remember not men's good. I got that for men's good because I covered men's good for City when the story first broke. I was there. I think it was raining. I was lying in the rain, but the Papa Kwesindum's place, Gold Coast Fund Management.
Okay.
I remember they were demonstrating in front of Coconut Grove, and I went there, and the people were the workers of Coconut Grove and then Gold Coast Securities were angry. At the same time, the clients or the customers were also angry. So I was in between. The customers were coming. The workers are also coming at me. They're like, who called you here? And so I remember the manager then had called Samuel. It was like, boss, there's a lady here who says who is pregnant. I was pregnant then. A pregnant woman here. Catherine, why is it? It's not good for us. Blah, blah, blah. So I was there when I remember my boss Samuel called me. I was like, no, are you the one, Catherine? As I said, he said, oh, okay, you finish and come. You know, so when I got there, he told me, but it was scary because I was pregnant then. And I had heard what happened to the TV3 pregnant reporter at the time with Men's Good. So it was scary. They were coming. I literally ran for my life. Because I don't know why they thought the media was not supporting them. And so they had to, I don't know. But it was scary because you hear the workers shouting, move, go away, don't capture us, don't do. And then the customers are also, coming towards you.
Were you then covering for TV or radio?
I was doing both. At City, you do both, yes.
That's right.
So you cover for radio, but you also have a cameraman who is taking shots and also trying to, do some piece of camera here and there with you. So you would cover for both, and even online, yeah.
Wow. Have you ever been approached to compromise anything you are doing for a fee?
Several times. You get it all the time. You get it all the time. You got it all the time. My first encounter was in Kumasi when I did that teacher story. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, that's when I was called. I was called by some people from different quarters because my boss Kofi then was pushing me to get updates, So I'll go to the school. And when I do an update today and they think, okay, the story, okay, why updates are kind of thing. 2 days later, Kofi will send me there. So 2 days later, you will hear another angle. And a story, even with us, that you always have to bring the background. So
that's right.
You do the updates and then you bring the background that they don't want to hear. So that was my first encounter though. And then as for Accra, I have a few.
So this approach in Kumasi, was it by stakeholders or school owner? Do you want to mention names?
I really don't want to mention names at this point, but
it was by certain stakeholders who had an interest in the story and wanted it to die off at a point, but you kept giving it life.
Yes. So there were stakeholders. Who didn't want to, didn't want us to move ahead or keep doing the story. So I remember at a point after the encounter, at a point, one of them called and said, oh, you're still doing this story. And I was like, the people want to hear what has happened. So we will keep doing it. So those they were stakeholders.
Okay. Now we haven't mentioned names of the stakeholders. What were they offering you?
They offered me money.
Really?
Yes.
And for them, they felt that covering up an obvious wrong, possibly through negligence or whatever, was better than exposing it for it to be rectified.
Yes, yes. And you see, when I did that story, it wasn't even about that particular teacher, but it was about the dilapidated state of a toilet facility that was supposed to serve hundreds of students. And the fact that the students didn't have any option. And I was told by students that that wasn't the first incident.
Oh.
Yes, students had, they had a lot of, a few students who had actually fallen into the pit. Wow. Before the teacher. So they felt it was time for them to get a better facility. So when I did the story, I was looking at the broader picture. Okay. But these people were looking at, that particular incident.
Wow. If you have the opportunity to reverse your age by 12 years, would you still come into journalism?
Hey. Yes, but I think I would have, let me see. I would still come into, yes, I will. But I think I would do something in addition to journaling. Yes.
Okay.
I think I would probably learn another trade.
Okay.
And add journalism to it.
Okay.
Yes. But I would definitely add journalism. I would definitely do journalism.
What's your take on Solly?
Solly's not Solly or Solly? The almighty Solly. This question. Well,
let me contextualize it for you. Now, is it bribe? Is it an inducement? Is it some kind of influence in the line of duty?
I'll be honest with you. It has the tendency of influencing the content that you put out. Yes, Solly has the tendency of influencing the content that you put out. High tendency, because for instance, if you've gone to talk to, say, a bank, and the bank, there's a problem, and you go to the bank gives you Solly, you take it. When the bank or manager calls you on the way and tells you, oh, you know what, this story, this part that I said, I don't want it to come out. You are likely.
That means he has already started editing the story.
Yes. And because you have taken the money, you would take it out. Yeah. So it has a high tendency.
Should journalists in Ghana be licensed?
I think so.
And your reason?
I think so. Because there are too many, I won't say quack. There are too many. We have a lot of untrained people, and it's impacting the image of the job. Yeah. We have a lot of people who are not trained, and it's their deeds, their way of working, and I mean how they go about the whole thing. It's impacting the image of the job. Sometimes it's sad. I mean, when you go out there and the way newsmakers and organizations see journalists. You know, sometimes the way the corporate affairs department deal with journalists. I mean, sometimes I feel it's a bit demeaning, but it's all because we have some of our colleagues, you know, doing the most. So I think it should be licensed after being in the job for a certain period of time.
How demanding is your job at Asasi Radio, head of business desk and deputy news editor? How demanding?
Well, you know, okay, so I assumed that position not too long ago.
Okay.
Yes, and then I had the baby as well. So I have actually been home for some time. However, before I assumed that role, I was literally playing that role. Okay. Because then we had our news deputy, not deputy, the acting head of news, who wasn't always available because he had a lot on his plate.
Okay.
And so myself and one other team member had to play the role literally as the heads of the newsroom. We were running the newsroom, doing all that editors or an editor had to do. It was challenging, but in terms of demand, we strategized. In fact, I pushed for that because I had experienced people complaining so much because they thought their jobs or their job as news reporters and other people were too demanding. And they didn't have time and they didn't have a life. And they didn't love what they are doing. They didn't love what they were doing. They don't love what they are doing. Some are still working, so they don't love. And so I had experienced that, and so when I joined Asase, in fact, when I went to the interview, I told them that this is it. I am leaving my job because I want flexibility.
Okay.
And if I want flexibility, it means that I want flexibility for all my team members.
Okay.
Not just me. So how do we work to ensure that people have life? You know, people, aside from the job, they are able to cater for themselves. They are able to go do other things. They are there for their families. Because if they're happy, they'll come to work every day. You don't want a situation where somebody will call and say, an auntie died, brother this or that, and it's not true. It's just that they want to be away from work because they can't even tell you the truth. Because they think you will not even agree or you look at them in a certain way. So I pushed that we had a system in place where everybody will have some time. A shift system was put in place. I mean, you come to work at a particular time, you close at a particular time. We are used to everybody coming in the morning, you know, and once you are not part of the then perhaps you are not even a hardworking person. No, you know, that is unfortunately a lot of the media houses are doing that. So I pushed together with my team members, and thankfully my bosses also agreed to that effect, and they thought that it is the best way. Don't overburden them. Once you overburden, they can't even think. They'll make a lot of mistakes on air.
Wow. You have worked under some of the industry's greatest materials. You mentioned Kofi Owusu, who was with the multimedia group before moving to Kumasi. Samens also has been with the multimedia before coming to City FM. Now you are with Asasi Radio, and Gabi is also one of the experienced journalists in Ghana today. How is all this experience helping to shape you into a better professional? What are the key lessons you are picking from them?
So all these people have their have a way of shaping you as a journalist. Kofi Owusu taught me so much. I always say that my journalism career, even though I did Vibe FM, I was a radio max at a point, I was here. My news journey, news reporting journey started with Kofi Owusu.
Okay.
And this man will teach you how to write and write well. He taught me that news should be simple. I mean, writing of news, your story, your words, news, your story should be very simple, short, and it should be sweet. So he would say the 3 S's: simple, short, and sweet.
Okay.
In that, I mean, anybody at all, even a class 1 people, should be able to understand your script or your story. So he taught me that. And other things. Samens would teach you how to be very professional. How to be very professional. So, I mean, in everything, what is the news?
Okay.
In everything, what is the news? Put the news out there, not what you think or anybody else thinks.
Wow.
Yeah. And then of course, Gabi is not a player in our news. He doesn't come in our show. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. I see. So that means in all these lessons and experiences you've had from these industry greats have shaped you to become a better person. How are you also translating some of these gems down to those under you?
Okay. I am not grown. I'm not grown, but I always say that I have a lot of children.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I have a lot of children, so I love to impact. I love to impact. I love to support. I love to teach. I have a lot of guys that I am trying to support throughout the journey. And so one thing that I do, and I know sometimes it may be annoying to some of them, but I do very well, is that when you put a story on the page, on our news page, for instance, and I feel you didn't write it the way you should have, I'll quickly copy and go to your DM and edit it for you. I do that a lot. I'll quickly copy, write it the way I think you should have written it, and send it to you. And tell you that this is how I think you should have written it. That is my way. One of the ways that I try to impact the little knowledge that I have learned from great minds, like Kofi Owusu, like Yawansu. Yawansu was also instrumental in my news journey. Yawansu, in Kumasi. I think he's no more a journalist. Yes, yeah. Samson Ladi.
Okay.
I encountered Samson Ladi only once.
Then he was at Love FM in Kumasi. Oh
no, he had left. He was in Accra then.
Oh, okay.
And so because he had a family or something, he came to Kumasi to do something, and he passed by our office. And he came to our newsroom to meet Yawansu. When he came, we were almost ready for the news. And Yawansu asked him to edit my story. And he looked at it and was like, "Oh, you write like the Joy style." Steven, Edano, the treat that I gave myself. I was over the moon, like, really? He said, yes, this is a Joy FM style. I mean, the kind of things that he said to me, you know, so because of that, and also somebody like Kofi Owusu has a way of editing stories.
Okay.
Yeah. He will not sit down and ask you to bring the story. He will edit the story with you.
Okay.
And it's something that I do up until now. If I'm editing somebody's story, I have to do it with the person. Unless we are so late that, I mean, I cannot interact with the person. I have to just edit for it to go on air. And even that, when we are done, I'll let you have a look and tell you why I changed A, B, C, D. Yes. So, I mean, I learned all these things from these great people, and that is what is helping me now. And I'm trying to impact it onto the others or the young guys who are now coming up.
A lot of journalists, trained professionals, are abandoning their crafts for either PR or entirely different sectors. From where you sit, I'm sure you have colleagues who have also turned their back on the craft after so many years of training. You know, what do you think is accounting for this level of attrition in journalism?
I think it has to do with the motivation. It has to do with the motivation and the fact that, and if I say motivation, it has to do with the money. I mean, we can't hide that. It has to do with the money. Because if a journalist is in a space where he or she hasn't been paid for, say, 3 months, there's no way the person can stay there. They have families. They have families, they have dependents. So it has to do with the money. They I mean, journalism is a passion.
That's right.
So if you are in it, you are in it because you love it. And sometimes it gets to a point where they cannot love it any longer. And employers or owners are not making it easy for them to love it. So they leave, they move on. They leave or they move on. And PR, yes, I mean, PR has, when somebody is in PR, for instance, they get all the benefits, the health, the fuel. Why would the person go? After hustling for, say, 10 years, I mean, somebody would just leave a media house, join a corporate entity, and be given a 4x4. Yes, they will leave.
You've done almost 10 years in journalism. How many more years do you want to travel with this craft?
Well, if I'm paid well, I can do it till I die. If I'm paid well, I'll do it till I die. Yeah, but I mean, you know, while we are now we have families and all that, I'm not even kidding about it. I mean, if I'm paid well, I'm positioned well financially, why not? I can go on and do it until, you know, I retire. But if it doesn't pay as much as I want, because once we are growing, the demands are becoming more. Children are going to school. school fees are high, and a whole lot. You have siblings to help. You have parents to look after, and all that. And so I'll continue doing it until I feel like, okay, I can't do it anymore, and I have to move on. And I cannot give a timeline to that. But yeah.
My final question: what is your take on the quality of journalism in Ghana today?
Well, I think we have some great talent. We have some great talent. And I wouldn't only look at the you see, so we are looking at in Ghana, the investigative journalists are the ones that are out there, and people actually think. But we have people who are not even doing investigative journalism. We have people who are doing political journalism who are doing amazingly well. Will ask you, put you on the tour. We have Sanda, we have Evans, we have Seloma Donu, we have Bernard Avler, we have all these people. We also equally, we have people, strong people who are in the even business space, who are very great. We have Obi Osei, we have Florence Segbefia, the late Pius Sanihe Duku. We have George of Joy FM, George Riafe.
Yes.
We have Odelia, we have Etonam Say. All these people are people that, I mean, we meet regularly, and when I listen to their line of questioning, I feel we have some great talent within my business community. We have some great talent, and out there in sports. I mean, Victor Achutamaklo will ask you all the questions that will keep you hanging. You know, we have Benedict Owusu, we have George and Godfred Akotobuafo. So these are even sports people. We have great talent here in Ghana. I have met a few journalists from out there when I went for some training. And I mean, when you compare our line of reasoning and our line of questions, I mean, we are not doing bad.
Great. Thank you very much for this. I think it's been exciting. Practicing and reporting with pregnancy, that's another level altogether. I have seen forecasters on, I think, Al Jazeera, also weather forecasters do it with pregnancy. But being in the thick of affairs, like in the market, pregnant, and that one is a completely different ballgame altogether. And I think that is where the passion, which you mentioned, comes in. It's been great having you on this platform, on PENSDOWN. Thank you very much for sharing thoughts on your journalism journey with us.
You're welcome, and thanks for having me.
Right. So this has been PENSDOWN. My guest has been Nana Oye Ankrah. She currently sits as head of business news for the almighty Asase Radio. That one looks like somebody's dream position. I know she'll say, this one, I hope the pay is bigger than this. I hope that, but somebody also is envious. That is life. Nobody ever gets satisfied. We'll be back next time with another journalist to talk about his or her journalism journey. Thanks a lot for being with us. Goodbye.